Hi there. Hey, we are going to work on our warm-up for the acrylic painting for our acrylic landscape or whatever acrylic painting we're doing. The warm-up is the same. What we need to do first is make a palette. And all we're going to do is take a little piece of cardboard and this paper that I'll give you. And this is a good paper to use as a palette because the paints won't soak into that paper very well. We're just going to wrap that piece of paper kind of tightly around to the back and just simply kind of pull tight. Simply just tape it. There's your palette. It's that simple. In a very short time, it'll look like that. Okay. We'll keep using this piece of paper. Don't take this paper off ever. I have some palettes that I use for 2 or 3 different paintings, and it just kind of keeps piling up. You don't have to go that far, but it can be used for quite some time. You will also receive this little eye that we'll paint in also watercolor, but in acrylic this time, so hang on to that eye. You are going to trace this eye onto a piece of manila tag board. Okay, I've already done it here. And just go to the light box and trace that. And we're going to tape it down to a piece of cardboard because this will warp and it'll be harder to manage. And when you tape something down to a piece of cardboard, a good idea, get enough, is to fold over one end of the tape so you can easily peel it off later without having to pick at it with your fingertip. See, that'll be just really easy to grab and just pull off. All right, now we're ready. You will also need some water, and you will also need a brush or two. Okay, right now we're just going to block things in, make all the simple undercoats, so we don't need a detail brush yet, so this is fine. You're also going to need some paint. It depends on what class you're in, but some of you will just be primarily using these smaller tubes, which kind of last quite a while, or a combination of these smaller tubes and these big bottles of paint that you will just kind of pour out as needed. All right, so here we go. The first thing we want to do is kind of think how to approach this kind of painting. And this is going to be just off camera most of the time. My palette, I'll show you it once in a while. With acrylic, you usually want to paint back to front. Acrylic is kind of a thick paint that you can cover over undercoats pretty easily. So you could think of the white of the eye as being what's farthest back because the eyelid is on top. But it doesn't really matter what you do first. So I could do the skin tones first or the eye first, but right now it doesn't matter because, again, acrylic paint, you can kind of do some touch-ups over the top of itself. So let's just do the white of the eye first, just to kind of go with that theory. And you don't need much. Here it comes, here it comes. This one's pretty thick. Thicker than most. But with a tiny bit of water, it will loosen up a bit. So I'm going to use kind of a medium brush since we're kind of in a medium space. When I go into the water, I just barely dip it in, and paper towels are good. I have rags at home. I'm at home right now. And I'm just going to pat the water off of there. You don't want a lot of water in your brush. So we're just going to pull some off. This white needs a little extra water to loosen up. Okay, now you can just scrub it on there. Maybe a little extra water. It usually won't be that tough to pull off. So now what you want to do with this is really truly bump into your lines because the color out here is going to be able to cover that up. See, it doesn't matter. See, I'm going over the top of the line for the iris. So that's no big deal. Down here, I want to make sure to cover where the white of the eye is. And the white of the eye is not going to be all white. We'll see that later. This paint is really thick and I'm having a hard time pulling some of it off of there, but yours won't be. We'll make sure you have good white. Okay, so that's how fast that is. Just to think of it as a flat tone. I'm also, at this point, there's that little reflection in the eye. And remember, you're working from this eye. Okay, try to draw this or paint this eye. But right now, I'm not worried about too much subtlety. I'm just blocking things in. See, right there, I'm not even worried about staying right inside the white of that. Now, this white isn't super brilliant, especially compared to the manila tag board, but you can see where the white is. Okay, I'm just going to keep some of that white in my brush without cleaning my brush out completely. I am going to just kind of wipe off a little extra. And now let's go to the skin tone. And the skin with this warm up, you guys, it doesn't matter what color it is. It can be kind of blues, it can be pinks, it can be greens, it doesn't matter at all. Okay, that paint's coming out much better. Okay, it's kind of a little more liquidy. And again, you don't need tons of it. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of red to that, just to show you that it doesn't matter what color it is. And I would think of it as kind of a medium tone that we're going to put down. There's a little bit of red on my brush, and many times what I'll do is I'll grab a color, and if I want to mix these two together, I'll just grab it right in my brush and just start to let it mix on the surface. And if I tell myself that's not the color I wanted at all, and if I want to lighten it a bit, I need just a little bit of water in there. I took half a drop of water in my brush. I should be using a bigger brush, but I forgot to switch. Now this is a color where we are going to let it get lighter and darker. We're just laying in an undercoat. And I'm going to do some of this in time lapse in just a moment. Now it doesn't matter again that much in this case that I happen to bump into the white of the eye right there. No big deal. And this first coat is kind of rough. As you can see, we're just laying down undercoats. But I want to stop what I'm doing here and just kind of do the rest. I'll do the undercoat of the surrounding skin area. I'll get the undercoat of the iris. I'm not sure what color that's going to be. It'll be, brown or blue or green or purple. That doesn't matter. I'm going to add just the tiniest bit of water, just so I can stretch out the paint a little bit. You don't want this to be watery. Okay, not at all. You want it to feel kind of thick. And I need to warn you, at this stage, because it's on paper, the paint soaks up pretty fast. And we have to kind of wait for our second coat on top of this to really like the process more. So hang in there with this. Let me do a more in time lapse. I'm just going to barely block in the eyebrow. I'm going to barely block in that stripe over there, and I'll finish the skin tone around here. So this will go pretty fast. All right, there we go. Now we're blocked in. Once this kind of dries and sets in, it doesn't take long. It'll be easier, really, to paint on top of this. And the next video, we'll start to show you how to put in some of the darks and blends and the lights, really going from this eye. So we'll do that next. So go ahead and block it in first, then we'll watch the next video.